So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Matchday -1 Australians press conference. Before we begin, please check your mobile phones that they are switched off or on silent mode. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone. But before we take the question, I want to ask the head coach of the Australian team, Alan Stachik, and also the player, Kaya Simon, talk about tomorrow's game and the team in general.
Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow's game, obviously our second in the campaign against Nigeria. Coming off a loss, you always obviously want to do better in the next game. So the team's looking good and obviously focusing on our opponents, Nigeria, and going to go out there and really give it a good performance, somewhat like we did against the US in the first half. So looking forward to it, and it's World Cup, so anything can happen, but just raring to go.
I think that was a good answer.
Please, your opinion, please.
Look, I agree. We just can't wait to get out there. I thought there was plenty of positives to take out of the last game, and you look to take all those positives into the next game and see if you can improve on some of the things you didn't do so well. So that's what happens in every sports team, and that's what we're looking to do. We know we've got a tough game. I think Nigeria showed they're a quality opponent, and as I said earlier, probably unlucky not to win that game the other day. So it'll be a very tough game, and we all knew it was a group of death, and I think it's probably even better and tougher group than probably what we thought even beforehand. I think the four teams could have easily been semi-finalists if we were all in different groups. I just think it shows the quality in this group, and there's probably 2 or 3 teams outside of this group who have performed well, but I think the 4 teams in this group have certainly showed that they're up there as contenders for this World Cup.
Okay, thank you very much. Your questions, please.
Stach, I think you're only allowed to train here once before that was the first match and not now. Is that a little bit annoying for you that you can't get on there again? Because obviously the synthetic pitches that you train on might be a little bit different and stuff like that. And have you got any injury worries as well?
Look, everyone's pulled up well at the moment, so we'll do a final check this afternoon. But I just went through the medical room this morning, and everyone's in good order at the moment. But again, we'll have to see till after the training session. In terms of the field, I don't think it's a big deal. We did train on it, and we had a good training session on there for 95 minutes against America too. So if you're not used to it by now, you probably won't be used to anything. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be training on it anyway, to be honest, considering it's synthetic. It's not as if it's a grass pitch that you're going to ruin, but for me it really doesn't matter. I don't think that's a game changer at all.
Just behind.
Stadge, have you had a chance to review Nigeria? Because there wasn't a lot of content available before the tournament. What have you taken from that ahead of this game?
There's been a bit of content on Nigeria. They made the World Youth Cup final last year and 3 years ago, and the majority of this squad played in those 2 tournaments. So there's a fair bit of content there. There's 6 or 7 matches they played last year. They played against Japan a few months ago as well. So I've seen this team evolve over 2 or 3 years now, probably even going back to 2010 Youth World Cup. So certainly there's no surprises in the talent in the team. Ashwala was player of the tournament last year at the World Youth Cup and watched virtually all those games, and the other young girls up front were also at the previous one. So there's no surprises, and they played as I expected they would. Really electric, powerful up front, quick, dynamic, good touches on the ball, backed themselves, scored some really good goals. No surprises, and just watching the Sweden game was just what I sort of expected, to be honest. And for all their positives and negatives, they really put on a good performance.
Nice.
Stadge, if you lose tomorrow, technically you're not out, but do you feel you have to win this game tomorrow?
Well, we could be out. If we lose and Sweden win, we are out. So obviously you don't want to lose, but you don't want to lose anyway, of course. So look, everything's up for grabs in this group. I don't think any games are given. I think Sweden will give America a good run for their money, and I think Nigeria will give America a good run for their money as well. So all the games are up for grabs. They're all 50-50 matches, and whoever performs better throughout the 90 minutes in every game will win. And I think we've seen that. Sweden were 2-0 up against Nigeria, and were lucky to hang on in the end. And I guess America were probably a little bit lucky to be 1-1 at half-time against us, but then, did much better than us in the second half. So I don't see why the last 4 games in the group will be any different. And certainly, you have to win every game. So there's no game that we're going to go into and sit back and play for a draw. So obviously we're going to go out there and win. I said that before the tournament, and I'll stick to that. That's our philosophy. We're a positive team. We're an attacking team. We're a good football team, modern football team, and we're going to take that into the next game. And you won't see any different in terms of approach.
Kaya, Sweden struggled fitness-wise against Nigeria. They were cramping pretty early on. And it seemed like at the very end of the U.S. game, it was a struggle for y'all as well. How are you going to maintain a full 90 minutes against a tough Nigerian squad?
Yeah, well, obviously watching the Sweden game and seeing that they were cramping up in the 60th minute showed a bit of weakness in their fitness. In terms of us, I don't think it was a matter of a lack of fitness for us. I think we're at peak fitness. It was just a matter of momentum change in the game, and I think the US obviously, once they got a sniff of the fact that the direction of the game changed a little bit, they kind of capitalised on that. So for us, I don't think there's any weakness in terms of fitness. It's just a matter of staying focused and engaged in the game in a football sense. And I think it's not really a worry for us in terms of fitness, but necessarily in terms of football. Just like I said. Staying, engaged in the game and just, staying on top in that way.
Stadge, you said that you've got close to full strength and you'll assess everyone else later today. What changes can we expect? And will Lydia or Barb start in goals?
Good question. We'll see how Lydia goes today at training. If she's fit, she'll start the game. But we'll see how she goes. I thought Bubs did very well the other day. Her distribution was immaculate. Her composure at the back. When you look back at the game, she did a couple of good takes on crosses as well. And she did really well. So for her not to have played in such a long time and come out and perform like that, I thought was amazing. And really that's why she was picked in the team. Just an experienced, cool head who could play under such pressure. To come in like that was amazing. For the rest of the team, there'll probably be 2 or 3 changes. So we'll freshen the squad up a little bit. But again, we've got to get through today's training session and see how everyone pulls up after that. So I can't really announce who's going to start or not at the moment until we get through that. But certainly the fitness of the players is good. I'd almost refute that question about our fitness. I know the game sort of tapered off, but when you look back at the game, and this is something I said to the players last night, America didn't have any corners or chances in the first 10 or 15 minutes, apart from Pino's shot. They didn't have any in the next 15. They didn't have any in the last 15 of the first half. They had one breakaway. When they scored the second, they had one breakaway off counter-attack in the, whatever it was, 78th minute, and they had no chances in the last 15 minutes either. So when you look back at the game, the corner count was 3-0 to us. When you look back at territory and whatever, they weren't really creating chances. So I sort of refute the fact that it was a fitness issue. I think, as Kai said, it was more a football issue. They dominated the game in terms of composure on the ball and kept the ball a little bit better than we did at times. And that's what changed the momentum of the game. Certainly not our fitness or intensity or drive in the game.
Stadge, do you think this game will be difficult given that Nigeria are a little more spontaneous in the way they play? They're not as predictable as the US, and obviously with Kaya sitting next to you, does that mean that she'll be starting tomorrow?
Like card.
So
That's
please-
all right. It's a professional foul. Just yellow. Look, Kai's a good chance of starting. Well, again, we'll have to see till after. But Kai's one of the leaders in our team, so she's vice captain, just like we had here the other day. So I don't think Kai or you should read too much into that till after the session. What was the other question? What'd you say?
Just that Nigeria's playing
yeah.
spontaneous type of game.
Yeah. as a fan, I love watching it. It's fantastic. But I think that their unpredictable is almost predictable in itself. So you know what to expect. You know to expect the flair, and you know to expect the counter attack, and you know to expect the pace and speed and the balls in behind, and players with quick feet who like to dribble. So you can call that unpredictable, but I call it predictable football now because we know what to expect. And as I said, they played like that in the World Youth Cup, and they played like that in the World Youth Cup previously when they were runners-up as well. And as I said, the game we watched, they played Japan, it was probably longer than 6 months. It was probably 12 months ago. They played the same way, and again the other night against Sweden. So, look, as I said, I got nothing but praise for the way they played. They were fantastic. But, I thought we played pretty good as well, and I think this is going to be a really sort of a match where two teams have equally attacking mindset and intent, and it could go either way, and whichever team executes their plays are better, I think will come out on top, and obviously the defences will have a tough job on both teams, I think. So it'll be, obviously both parts of the game will be extremely important, who can hold each other out and who can exploit the chances that they create.
So first in the last row, please.
Just to follow up that question, Coach, here at the back. So knowing that they're that dynamic team that is predictable in their unpredictability, can you manage or account for that through tactics, or do you rely on your players to make reads on the fly to be able to contain those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think they're sort of related, aren't they? Players reading the game is certainly a game awareness and a tactical awareness, and obviously we've got a game plan as well. And I'd say our athleticism at the back's not too bad. Laura Alleyway stuck with Sydney LaRue. If you look back at that sprint race where Laura was actually injured in the 5th minute of the game and fell on her hip, that breakaway where America scored their second goal, she kept up with Sydney LaRue for virtually that whole 40-metre sprint. So we're not exactly slow at the back either. I've seen Sydney LaRue play over the last 2 months and just blast away from everyone, where no one can get within a metre or two of her. So we're not exactly slow at the back, but obviously physical slowness and tactical slowness are two different things. So being able to read the game is essential for an individual player at the back. And Sweden definitely got caught out a few times, didn't they, with poor reads. And certainly the last goal, the player stepped up when she might have dropped off and the ball got played in behind her for that third Nigerian goal. So, that's essential for an individual, but as a team we've certainly spoken about that, and we've got a good game plan in place. And as I said, our athleticism at the back's much better, I think. We got players the other day. We'll see who plays the next game, but Caitlin Ford's as quick as anyone. None of the Nigerian girls are quicker than her. She's as quick as anyone. Steph Catley's the same, and Laura Alleyway's the same. So, even though they might be quick, we're not slow either.
The other question I just wanted to run by you was there's a youth group here from Australia, young players from a couple of had a chance to see them play yesterday. Really talented group. What are your thoughts on the program you have in place? Do you feel like you're doing the things you need to do to continue to feed this high-end team that you have?
Yeah, look, we've put in place a national curriculum a couple of years ago back home in Australia, which mandates how all juniors should be playing, and that goes from under sevens all the way through to our national teams now. So there's 4 different aspects from the early learners to the youth level, to the sub-elite level, to the elite level, and every player around the country is mandated to play under that system of play. So we might be waiting 5-10 years for the next generation of Australians to come through, both in men's and women's football. But look, we're certainly heading down that path. If you've seen our men's team play or our women's team play, that we're all heading with the same mentality, with the same principles of play, and we want to become a modern-based football country who aims for the top, possession-based with good technical skills. Almost every FIFA report in history has always said the same things about Australia, and, competitive, good spirit, hard-working, good mentality, but poor technique. So we really want to change that over the next 5-10 years, and that sometimes takes a generation or so. But we've definitely got those plans in place and all the systems in place to support that. We saw with Japan, they had a 50-year plan in place and won the Women's World Cup within 10. Their men's team are technically superb, so there's no reason why we can't do the same. Australia's got some great athletes, but in football you need to be more than a great athlete. And I think the more that women's football evolves, the more we'll see the technical and tactical side of the game evolve, as we've seen. I think Japan was a classic example in the last World Cup where it wasn't just the robust physical team that won the World Cup. It was a technical, tactical team with the smartest players on the field, and even though they only won that game on a shootout in the final, I thought they were the best team throughout the World Cup. And certainly, hopefully, women's football evolves that way, where the technique and the tactical awareness just keeps increasing like it has done.
Now you and your.
Was it a last-minute decision to play Caitlin Ford at left back, or did you always have that in mind?
Look, I've always had plans in mind for all our matches, not both, all our matches in the group stage. So, look, I've known Caitlin since she was 12, 13 years old, so I'm well aware of what she can do and where she can play and how she can play in each position. So she's been playing up front for us a little bit, such a versatile player. I thought she was outstanding the other day. I thought she was our best player. Looking back at the video, her and Elise Keller-Knight were just superb. So, just having a fantastic player like that who can attack from the deep and cause America all sorts of problems early on is just great for us to have, and she's just talking to her last night. She was laughing at Sawa's 6 World Cups, and this is her 2nd World Cup, and she's just turned 20. So she's a fantastic talent. It's up to us now to nurture her over the next period of time, and hopefully she progresses to be one of the best footballers in the world, which I don't think she's far away from at the moment. But no, it wasn't a last-minute decision. Certainly we want to play with good attacking fullbacks, and that's the reason why she played there.
And which Nigerian players impressed you in particular?
Oh, look, I think their front four were fantastic. They play with that sort of 2 up front, but those other 2 wide midfielders who push up, Sarshwala and number 13, is it Akobe, I think her name is, and Apronosi up front, and Ordega were excellent. So, but also I think it's their captain, number 14 in midfield, was a good playmaker. Fantastic composure on the ball. So 4 or 5 fantastic weapons for them, I think. Good players, quick feet, good dribblers, back themselves. Schwaller ran the ball a couple of times, 40, 50, 60 metres, and just wants to take people on. So all the things we want to see footballers try and do and execute.
Yes, question for Kaya. I just wondered how good it felt to run onto that field on Monday and how much of a relief it was. It wasn't so long ago that we sadly saw you go down with an ACL injury when you were playing against the United States in America. Just wondered how it felt going onto that field, and was it one of the first times where you actually felt you'd reached that light at the end of the tunnel and all that rehab and all that work had kind of paid off?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, it was a long 15 months for me. Being out of the game, it's tough to see if your second family be together so often and be away on tour, and that was tough. And it is that light at the end of the tunnel to run out to represent your country at a World Cup. And it was kind of ironic that I did it against the US, and then my first major World Cup game was against the US as well. So definitely a monkey off the back for me, and every time I put on the green and gold jersey, it's just a real honour and privilege, and it definitely put it into perspective, to show that all that hard work did pay off, and I'm here living my dream once again like I did in Germany. So a really fitting, nice feeling.
Kaya, 4 years ago, you lost the opening game and then won the second game. Do you take confidence from that experience?
Yeah, well, I think we've got definitely a totally different squad from then to now. Obviously, learning from the previous World Cup, it doesn't end at the first game, but you've got 3 and even more, if and when you progress. So definitely got some confidence that we can bounce off the back of a loss and win the next one. In saying that, our squad from 2011 are far more experienced, I think matured on and off the pitch this time around. It's 4 years apart, so it's hard to really judge off that, but definitely there's no reason why we can't go out and get the result tomorrow.
Kaya, a lot of players spoke about their nerves, their jitters, and a bit of anxiety before the opening match as they got to the stadium. What's the mood like been like since? Is it much more relaxed, or is it still a lot of tension?
No, I think, I guess I could put myself in those players' shoes 4 years ago when I was, going in for my first World Cup game, and you've got a bit of nerves but also excitement because you don't really know what to expect when you haven't been in that position before. But I think it's always going to be, a nervous situation when you don't really know what to expect. But going into Game 2, I think now the players know what to expect from the atmosphere, from the quality, and then also from the pressure. So having experienced that, 4 days ago, I think that really settles the nerves, and we're in good stead leading into this next game.
Kaya, you said maturity was one of the big changes with this team as opposed to the last World Cup team you were on. Is there anything else that stands out to you?
I think definitely the culture that Stadger's really embedded into this group. We've really come together as a close-knit group, and we're more family-orientated than ever before, and I think that really reflects on our performance on the pitch. And definitely it's probably the closest knit group or football group that I've been a part of ever in my career, and it's a really nice settling feeling to know that you've got each other's back on and off the park. And it's so much easier to play well and to have each other's back when you get along so well off the park. So to have that obviously in our minds, and to be settled in such a I guess a gracious group to be a part of. It's really nice to be a part of that environment, and to have such a positive environment around you.
Stadge, if the result's not going our way, can we see like risks being taken, say late in the game, maybe 3 at the back, 4 at the front, the goalkeeper coming up for set pieces? I mean, is that sort of in your mindset?
Could be a dangerous tactic, 3 at the back against Nigeria. Look, there's plenty of minutes left in this World Cup. In the group stage, there's still 180, and anything can happen. The fact that 3-4 third-place teams go through, I don't think it's make or break on this one game. It's 270 minutes that gets you through, not 90, any individual 90 minutes. So you've got to really be composed and mature, and really understand your position. It's almost, like a home and away tie in a Champions League. Nothing's done and dusted after 90 minutes, and the World Cup's the same. There's 3 group matches, and top 2 go through, and those third place teams is crucial as well. Every goal, every minute counts. If you're up 2-0 and cop one, and that 2-1, that one might be the one that, sends you home packing if you came third. So, that's going to happen to some team at this World Cup. They're going to miss out by a goal that they conceded somewhere, or a point that they dropped somewhere. So, we don't want that team to be us. So I think focusing on your game plan and being mature about where you're at, and understanding your role is really important. And, I even look back at Sweden, Nigeria, they sort of milked the clock in the last couple of minutes in that 3-or draw, almost playing for the draw. So that sort of showed that they were happy with a point, at that stage of the tournament. They weren't really going for the win as they were earlier. So, that was their philosophy at the time, but just showed that they had their one eye on one of those third place spots, or, trying to get through the group phase.
Have you, since the first game, sensed an extra confidence amongst the squad that you more than matched a strong USA team for more than an hour?
Look, I spoke to you the day before the game, and I remember I just telling you, we're going to go at them, and there's a lot of belief in this team, and I think we showed that, and I saw a look in your eye where you sort of didn't believe me or didn't agree with me that we could match America or even outplay America, and you I sort of got the gist that you thought they were the better team and we were going to struggle, and that it was a bit of just talk from us, but I thought we did well. I thought we played extremely well, and on another given day you probably win that game. Hope Solo. I thought it was moments of magic that won the game for America, rather than an outstanding 90-minute performance from either team. Hope Solo's 2 saves were unbelievable. Lisa Devana also, just missed the top of the crossbar in that first half as well when we played her in. And then, Megan Rapinoe was a standout. She was fantastic. She really changed the game. She set up that second goal. So we get a lot of belief from that. There's a lot of statistics in the game that show territory and possession, but obviously the main one's points and goals, and that's where America deserved their victory. They were the better team on the day with their clinical finishing, and the finishing press had hardly done anything the whole game and popped up and scored a beautiful goal. Simple, but just beautiful. It's a world-class player who can pop up and do one bit of magic when it's required, and same with Rapinoe. So in that context, they deserve their victory, but from a team context and a performance context, we get a lot of belief. We did the same against Japan last year at the Asian Cup, where we outplayed them for 50, 60 minutes. Our goal is to become a 90-minute team, and imagine if you saw that Australia team play like that for 90 minutes. I think you got a World Cup contender.
Speaking of the competition in the group, what's your impressions of Sweden so far?
Look, Sweden are world class. I think, like Nigeria, their best players are up front. They got Schellin up front, and Aslani and Jakobsen, and Seeger in the middle. They're just world class players. we've watched a lot of their games over the last 4 or 5 months, and they've beaten Germany and beaten some of the top countries in the world. So there's a lot of teams with similar characteristics in this group where their front lines are just so potent. And if you look at us, Nigeria and Sweden, very, very similar teams in terms of the quality and the quality base in the team. So some world-class players in all the teams. And again, it'll be a matter of which defences can hold out those world-class attacking plays. And probably the goal of the tournament for me was their third goal the other day when, just they kept the ball for 10, 12, 15 passes, and then just the little combination play with Seeger and Shelin to set up that goal was world-class. So very good team, obviously, and they're not ranked 5 in the world for nothing.
Alan, at the back, what's the status of Lisa? Is she going to be in the frame to play tomorrow? And Australia will have its opportunities against Nigeria, but we saw against Sweden that when that dynamic front four, isolated Swedish players ran at them, that was where a lot of the moments and opportunities came from. Is that going to be a crucial part for Australia to get through?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I think it's definitely crucial at the back. But as I said, I don't think there'll be as big a speed differential for starters between our back four and the Swedish back four. As I said, Caitlin Ford's as quick as any of those Nigerian girls, including Ashwala. And Steph Catley is very similar. And as I said, Laura Alleyway is very similar as well. So again, depends on who we play there, but our speed differential will certainly be less. But it's a tactical game as well, reading the play and covering each other and all that kind of stuff. But certainly up front, if Lisa starts, she'll be extremely dangerous, you would imagine. The African teams are all quite quick, but Lisa Devan's mobility is just exceptional. I'd say she's probably the most mobile player here at the World Cup. In terms of her turning speed and ability to change direction with and without the ball, I don't think there's anyone here at the World Cup who's quicker. So she's a threat to anyone, as is Sam Kerr. Sam Kerr's a phenomenal player. Just could do anything at any moment. Unbelievably exceptional talent. So that volley that she did is just, the kind of freakish stuff she pops up with all the time. I've seen her score some of the most amazing goals. The Nigerians are quite dangerous, but when you look at our play the other day, I thought we were quite dangerous as well. And if we can replicate a lot of that performance, I think the Nigerian back four, back five, and the goalkeeper will have a tough time as well.
A few people have talked about Nigeria's spontaneity and unpredictability, but they showed a bit of vulnerability from set pieces, especially in the first half against Sweden. How much extra work have you been doing in training to try and exploit that?
Unfortunately, you don't get a lot of time to train in between. There's almost a rest and recovery day. But, we saw how they conceded goals, and you don't have to be Einstein to identify, what their strengths and weaknesses were. So, it's up to us to exploit it. We'll certainly look at what we can do and how we can execute our game plan. We've worked on set pieces quite a bit in recent times. So, hopefully, touch wood, we execute them well and we cause as much danger as what Sweden did the other day. Certainly, Sweden got 2 goals, and probably if they had better delivery on the next 2 corners as well, probably also could have caused some more problems. So it's up to us to execute our game plan.
So maybe the last 2 questions. Are there more questions? Okay, that's all.
Right.
So thank you very much, and good luck for the game tomorrow.